Vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. That's essential to get you to pass those real estate exams. So get ready for continuing with vocabulary today on the vocabulary series. So you're going to be prep with Lillie Handy of YouTube Agent Prep. All right, so we're going to be focusing on what is important for your real estate exam. In order to pass the exam, you've got to know the meanings of the vocabulary language of real estate. I can't seem to stress it enough. And I hear it more and more from the students that pass the exam, that when they practiced and understood the vocabulary, it helped them understand the question and select the right answer. It's not the only thing you need, but it is very important. You're learning a different language. All right, so special purpose property. What is that? It is property that was built for a specific purpose that has unique characteristics. Special purpose property, okay? Commercial properties, other types of properties, as the picture shows. Movies too, you know, a lot of old movies used to be blockbusters, and now we have Netflix, virtual companies. Advanced valuation model. I'm sorry, advanced. Yeah, it is a very advanced technology day. Automated valuation model, abbreviated AVM. You will see this a lot once you start practicing real estate. It is a program or algorithm that pulls information from various data sources to provide an estimate of value for a particular property. So the county appraisers, okay, where we get the county property taxes, will use this a lot. Okay, a lot of online programs, okay, Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, you know, homes for sale, statistics like that, they will call it AVM. Okay, automated valuation model. Okay, it is an automated calculation, an algorithm, a formula that is used based on other properties that have sold. Lifetime cap. So lifetime cap. Amount of adjustable rate mortgage, that's an ARM, ARM, may increase over the life of the loan. So every adjustable rate mortgage has a max limit as to how much the interest rate can be increased before it maxes, okay? So the government controls that in every state, and ARMs are usually for 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 years, and they have to be refinanced. If it is not refinanced after that period, then the rate mortgage could increase and sometimes also decrease. Depreciation. Depreciation, a decline in value, right? It's going down. Something is causing the property to depreciate, either the environment, characteristics, economic characteristics, physical characteristics, or functional characteristics, okay, can cause it to decrease, to decline. So that was depreciation. Condominium Association. Lots of different types of association. There's also HOAs, right? But this is for condominiums, which they have shared walls in a common area that everyone uses. Entity responsible for the operation of the condominium property. So every condominium establishment, community is going to have an HOA, Homeowners Association, Condominium Association, because they maintain the outdoors of the community. okay, the land, the gates, fences, the outside of the buildings, any common area, mowing the grass, whatever is outside, lights, parking area. If it is an enclosed structure, there may be elevators, bathrooms. So all of that will be maintained, okay, by the Condominium Association. Separate property. Separate property. Assets that are solely owned by one spouse often includes property that is owned by the marriage, property that is gifted to or inherited by one spouse during the marriage, or property that is acquired during the marriage using separate funds. So when somebody gets married, two individuals get married and they own property to the marriage, okay, that is solely owned by them. If they start to make income from it, if it's a rental property and they start making income, that income is joint income. The property is not, but the income is. Any interest they make on that property. If they both improve the property with their married funds, then there will be a percentage of the property that will be owned by both individuals. But if nothing is done to it, it belongs to one individual, one spouse. Limited liability company, LLC. Remember to know your acronyms. So this is a legal business entity. A lot of investors that start buying real estate and have multiple properties will get a limited liability entity so that the properties are under that company name. And that has some features of a corporate entity, okay, such as a member protection for the debts and obligations of the entity, LLC, corporation, subcorp, and some features of a partnership, such as the flow-through taxation. So if it is a one-person sole owner LLC, an accountant, when preparing, they can do a flow-through taxation and go to your personal taxes. But for recording all legal documents of any properties that may be owned or any business, it would be under that limited liability corporation name known as LLC. Mortgage fund. Mortgage, right? In Texas, we call it deed of trust. Oh, not fund, fraud. All right, so I haven't had my coffee. Mortgage fraud. Securing a mortgage loan through misrepresentation, misstatement of fact, concealment of fact, omission of fact, or other false information. Okay. I'm trying to remember how to enlarge the screen. Okay. So that is mortgage fraud. Real estate services. That's what we're going to be providing, right? Once we become realtors. Services offered to the public by real estate licenses, and we get paid, right? So when we provide a service and expect to get paid, then we must get a license, okay? A Texas real estate license or whatever state that you're in. I say Texas because I am based out of Texas. However, so whenever we're doing a service and expecting payment, not a fee like an investor, wholesaler, but you're representing an individual, then we're providing real estate services and we'll get paid as a realtor. Of course, the broker is the one that gets paid, excuse me, and then they pay us. There we go, found the key. A ground lease. So what is a ground lease? So the lease of unimproved land or property that gives the tenant the right to develop the property suitable to the tenant's needs. At the end of the lease, improvements made by the tenant typically remain on the property. So let's say, well, McDonald's, they say a lot of them make money from owning the property. But other businesses, like for example, Walmart will buy lots of acreage, okay? And they'll use part of it and they can lease part of the land for somebody else to build. Once that business goes out of business, they might have what is called a 100-year lease, 50-year lease. Whatever they built belongs to the original property owner. It remains on the land and it can be torn down and built as something else. That is a ground lease. You're renting, you're leasing the ground and building something on it. Others will lease, farmers will lease the land. That is a ground lease for agriculture to grow crop. The crop belongs to them, but not the land. Leverage, when you're teeter-tottering, depending on where you sit on the teeter-totter, closer to the middle, you won't go up and down a lot. But when you go to the end, you leverage. So depending how or where you use it, you can make a difference in many different types of things. Here they're talking about money, the use of borrowed money to acquire an asset, which a lot of times investors call OPM, other people's money. That is called leverage. Using banks' money, investors' money, hard money, loans to acquire property or any asset business. Abstract of title. What is an abstract of title? So this is going to be something that is dealt with every transaction where somebody wants to know the history of their property. A report that contains information regarding the transfer history for a parcel of real property, as well as information regarding any encumbrances, any liens, okay, any judgments, any unpaid taxes, child support. Okay, so it's called a title commitment. Once a contract is submitted to a title company, their attorneys or their department of title does a research on the history of the property, the ownership of the property. That is the abstract of title. Sellers have to prove that they have a free and clear title. Liquidity, kind of liquid, right? What is liquidity? The ability of an asset to be converted to cash, right? Stocks, you can sell pretty quickly. A house, it's going to take quite a while to convert it to cash. It's not accessible right away. So depending on how fast you can access that property, it's liquid. It's in your savings account. It's in the checking account. Okay, you can sell certain things at a garage sale and you get money right away, liquid. The ability of an asset to be converted to cash. Typically, they want it fast. Taxable value. What is taxable value? We had automated market value. Now it's taxable value. The property value that is not exempt on which taxes are applied. So individuals can have exemptions, homesteads, right? That portion of their property will not be taxed. So they have a lower tax rate. So that is taxable value. What percentage of the property that they own it's taxable by the county to pay property taxes every year? And remember, 100% disabled veteran is exempt 100%. Subject property. Is that the name of the property? Typically, subject is what the description, the title of an email. It is the property being appraised. If you're selling your property, it'll be referred to the subject property. Broker price opinion, BPO. Broker price opinion, know your acronyms. It's an estimate of value of real property prepared by a real estate licensee, which may not be referred to as an appraisal. It's not an appraisal. A lot of times, broker price opinions will drive by, will take pictures of the property on the outside. We may be asked to go inside and take pictures so that we can have the condition of it, then do a CMA, and is presented to the lenders. Oh, good morning, Cindy. Sorry, I just noticed you. Thank you for joining us. And yes, Cindy spoke and asked when I was going to do vocabulary, since I keep mentioning it in the other classes, and it was time to do some vocabulary. So when you ask, Lillie will listen and accommodate whenever possible. And this was possible. Okay, a lien theory. What is a lien theory? It refers to the right of mortgage lenders in property given as collateral for a mortgage. The right of mortgage lenders in property given as collateral for a mortgage. Okay, so lenders will put a lien on the property, right? The borrower gives back a collateral to the lender. That's why the borrower is called what? The mortgagor. They're giving back, okay, the collateral or the right that they own the land, the property, and the borrower is making payments. Lender receives the collateral, okay, the deed of trust, and the borrower gets money so they can get the property. But that is the right of the mortgage company, the mortgagee, in property given as collateral. Oh, who is the customer? Somebody type in the chat, who is the customer, or what is a customer? Do we owe them fiduciary duties or not? Just really quick, okay? Who is a customer? Do we represent them or not? We do not. No, they are not a client. A customer is someone that we do not represent. Consumer of real estate services. They consume, right, Lisbeth? We don't represent them. They're still shopping around. They're a customer. Once we sign an agreement, then they become a client. But while just shopping around, they're a consumer, okay, of services. They have not yet made a commitment to buy. Risk. Yeah, almost every day in life, we take risks every moment of our life. But here it means the possibility of loss from an investment. You know, the day we were born, we took a risk, right? We came into this world. That anytime we take a forward step, a backward step, drive, or whatever we do, it's a risk. But in this case, it's a possible loss from an investment. That is a risk. So better to take an educated risk and make money than to not take a risk at all. Plottage. I'm going to plot something. The increase of value from joining two or more parcels of property together. You might have thought, oh, I'm going to plot a chart, right? I'm going to put little dots and create a chart or a bar chart. Well, it's not that type of a plot. It's combining two or more parcels, plats, okay, lots of property together, making them more valuable, like in a subdivision or for commercial property. That is plottage. Combining two or more parcels, okay? Meeting of the minds. So what is that? There's meeting of people, meeting networking, meeting of the minds. When two parties agree on the essential elements of a contract. So individuals come to an agreement. And that's what we as realtors are there to help individuals come into an agreement on a purchase and sale of a property or on a rental of a property. A farm area. Oh, do you think you're going to think about animals type of farm? Or is this a different type of farm area? It's a different type. It's a geographic area where a real estate licensee or real estate broker firm specializes. So let's say you live in a neighborhood in your town, and there are lots and lots of homes. That is considered a farm that you're going to market to. Okay. So you want to pick a farm that has, hundreds of homes. That way you can mail out direct letters, postcards every month. And that is part of lead generating and getting some leads, getting some potential sellers, okay, to sell their home through you. So once we start the real estate business, we're going to be farming a particular neighborhood. We farm an area. We become the expert in that area, and people get to know us. We can create events in that area so that people get to know us. Intestate, within, without. So is it with a will or without a will? Passing away without a will. You heard me say within, without. So intestate, without a will. Descendants' property will pass according to the state laws of intestacy. So it could go to the state, right? Go to probate. If nobody owns it, if there are no heirs, okay, then it goes to the state, and that is called escheat. However, if there isn't a will, it goes to probate and it's decided at the courts. A home equity loan. Home, what is equity? Okay, and what is a loan, right? 3 different words that each have a definition, but to combine, they are a loan given by a lender to a borrower who has equity in their home to pledge as collateral for the loan. Okay, so home equity loan, when we purchase a property, if we put a lot down, okay, any amount that has been paid over the years, that is the portion, the rate, the percentage that we own. Lenders will provide loans. They're smaller loans, right? Let's say you had a $500,000 house and it's been paid down $250,000. So there are $250,000 of equity that you could go and borrow money on, and the lender will give you a percentage. Good morning, Lisbeth. Yeah. Within, without. Without means without a will. Not with would be testate. Okay. So a home equity loan is borrowing money on a property that you own for the equity portion. Okay. So you may still have the main mortgage, the deed of trust, but now you have $250,000 or $50,000 and you want to get a small loan to remodel it, make some upgrades, or consolidate other expenses, okay, other debt. So lenders will do that, and they're usually at a much lower interest rate, and they can be short-term. Or it can become a revolving type of home equity loan. What is an asset? Hi, Ava. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. What is an asset? Individuals also have assets, right? An item of real or personal property which has value, right? Your phone is an asset because nowadays they cost $1,000. Our phone is a computer, is a calculator, is a camera, right? We have the internet. It has so much. But it is real, okay, real estate, business, or personal property. That is what an asset is. And certain assets we can write off when it comes to tax time. Fee simple estate. Fee simple, and then estate. An interest in real property is what estate is. So what is fee simple? What kind of interest in real estate is it? It is considered the highest and best form of property ownership because it includes the rights to own, use, control, exclude other from, enjoy, and transfer property. So that's called the bundle of rights. Okay. The right to own, use, control, exclude others from it, enjoy it, and transfer it, encumber it. Okay. So you can transfer it to a bank by getting a loan. You can transfer it to someone else. Now, of course, we never owned it 100% because we have to pay property taxes, except for a 100% disabled veteran. Supply and demand, or supply of what? Product, supplies, amount of property available for purchase. So that's a supply and demand. Do we have lots of buyers today and not enough homes? That's a seller's market. Do we have a lot of sellers and not enough buyers? That is a buyer's market. So when that is the case, sellers have to be more negotiable. That's a supply and demand. And so right now we're shifting into a buyer's market. Means buyers have more control than the sellers. Chain of title. So we talked about abstract title, now chain of title. It is a sequence of property transfers relating to a parcel of real property. So you see all the little people on there on the paper, great cutter. So they transfer the property from left to right. And every time it's transferred, there is history. And they find out, if there's any liens, encumbrances, loans, judgments, anything like that. Taxes due. Culpable negligence. HOLOC, what is it? You mean, okay, I know of a HELOC. Okay. So a HELOC is the same as a line of credit. It's a home equity line of credit. A home lock, homeowner's line of credit. It's the only thing I can think of, but it's a line of credit. I've heard of HELOC. I haven't heard of HOLOC, Ava. So Ava asked, what is a HOLOC? Okay, well, a home equity line of credit is called a HELOC. So maybe a homeowner's line of credit. Maybe it's a for sale by owner and, it is a seller that sold it on owner finance. And they could maybe also get money back from them. But it would still be, I think, a home equity line of credit. Google it and let us know. Culpable negligence. So we're negligent about something, right? Acting recklessly without ordinary due care in a way that the person knows or should know can cause harm. Once you're a realtor, they're going to say, you should have known. Don't say, oh, well, I wasn't aware. Oh, well, I didn't know. Well, that doesn't work. So culpable negligence, acting recklessly without ordinary due care. We didn't do our research, okay, before we took some actions or said something, because we should have known as licensed realtors. We can't go by, I didn't know. Go find out. A special flood hazard. What is a special flood hazard? An area, you see the picture? Look at the pictures. Area that has been identified by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Know that acronym, which requires flood insurance. So whenever we own a home that's close to an area that could be flooded, then we end up getting flood insurance. And FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, provides the FEMA insurance. We get it through our normal insurance company. However, it is regulated by FEMA, Special Flood Hazard. Oops. A homeowners association. Homeowner Association. Different than condominium association. A corporate entity responsible for the operation of a community in which the voting membership is made up of parcel owners. So here you have houses, they're separated, okay? The walls are separated. Condominium would be connected. These are homes, okay? There can also be townhomes that have connected walls. However, townhomes own the piece of land. So a homeowners association is a community of owners that actually own property, and they become officers that make decisions for the community to make sure that everybody is following the rules and the bylaws. And there is a monthly due, quarterly, every 6 months, or yearly, that is done so that they can repair the outside of the buildings, the roof, the roads, things like that. That is a homeowners association. It also is referred to as property owner association, okay, POA, which you may see that instead of HOA. Survey. What is a survey? See the engineer equipment, precise description of the legal boundary lines of a parcel of real property. Okay, and sometimes they can check the elevation of the property to make sure you're above a flood area. If you're in a hill or something like that, they want to know the elevation. For the most part, anything that's level, okay, then they'll find out what the boundary lines, the corners, okay, landmarks, and put metal stakes or wooden stakes in the land to mark the corners, the boundary lines of the property, right? And so with a survey, the beginning point, the landmark, is also the end point. The starting point is the end point. It's like you create a loop, okay? Corporation. So first we have LLC, limited liability corporation. It is limited. This is a corporation, legal business entity with shareholders that are protected from liability for the acts of the corporate entity, but may share in the profits and losses of the company. Treated as a legal purpose that may sue, be sued, execute contracts, and engage in business. So we have 4 types of ownership, right? One of them is called severalty, which is one individual or one entity. So an LLC, a corporation, an individual can own property as severalty. Okay, there are many shareholders that profit from the company or have losses, but there is a committee, okay, a corporate management group that ends up making decisions. Everybody else is pretty much in the background, gains or loses. A non-conforming use. It does not conform to the normal use. Use for a property that is different than the surrounding properties and is inconsistent with the long-term development of the property. So here is a power treatment plant. Non-conforming use. It doesn't go along with what everything else is like. It's maybe on the outskirts of a residential community out in the country, but it doesn't conform to either agriculture land, to a home subdivision, or industrial manufacturing. Novation, Latin, novation, something new. Agreement says, I am new, I'm new. Agreement to completely replace a party or provision of an agreement with a new one. So when there's a contract, buyer and sell contract, and someone counters, the buyer or the seller counter, it becomes the new counter, or the counter will be novation, a new agreement. The original one expires. Even if it's one little thing that changes, now it's considered a new contract. We don't have to write a whole new one. Okay, the counter then is what makes it a new contract, because something changed. So it replaced the original provision of the agreement. That is novation. In Spanish, nuevo. Italian, novation. Fixture. What is a fixture? There's different types of fixtures. Items of personal property that is permanently attached to real property in a way that it becomes part of the real property. Example is a chandelier. Okay, all the other light fixtures. A stove. Okay, that's an insert, right? And it's bolted down. Windows, those things were added to the property. And so they become attached. And there's a word called Maria into the different ways of how it becomes a fixture. Okay, a fence that is permanently installed on the land with poles or concrete down in the ground, okay, becomes a permanent fixture. If it's just on the surface and it's easily removable, then that doesn't go with the land. It can be taken down. But this is part of the property, cannot be removed when selling it, but yet it can be replaced. Okay, so we have a question. Cindy is asking, quick question. Will we be going over some Q&A for national or state today? No, we will only do vocabulary today. So I'll either do vocabulary or I do national and state questions. Sometimes I would do all three, but it happens to be too much for one class. Regression. Regression. Appraisal principle that states properties in the higher range of values for a given area are negatively impacted by the presence of less expensive properties in the local area. So here you have a smaller house versus this huge mansion. Okay, so this little house will negatively impact the value of this large house, or this large house will positively impact this little house. Okay, but in this case, because of the word regression, it's like it causes a decrease in the value of the larger property. It negatively impacts it. That's why in homeowner association subdivisions, they want properties to be similar, okay, so that it doesn't negatively impact the other properties and create regression. Constructive notice. Constructive notice. Giving notice to the intended recipient by recording the document in official records, unnecessary for the recipient of the notice to actually receive the document. So there's actual notice or constructive notice. Constructive notice, it's being recorded so everyone knows. Actual notice is the individual was informed and they are aware of it. But in this case, the recipient does not have to receive the document. That is constructive notice. Attorney in fact, also described as POA. What is an attorney in fact? A person who has the legal right to transact business on behalf of another person. The principal. The main person is the principal, let's say our client, through a valid power of attorney document. So the principal is not able to be there or is healthy enough to make the decisions on the transaction. So they gave the legal right to someone else to represent them. So a person who has the legal right to transact, to do business on behalf of another, who is considered the principal. The principal signs that power of attorney and mentions that person's name. That is a attorney in fact or a power of attorney, POA. Negative amortization. So amortization, right? What is amortization? Then this is negative amortization. See the downslope curve? So it's a financial condition that occurs when the payments made by the borrower on a loan are less than the amount required to cover the principal and interest payment due. So what happens there? It results in an increase in the amount due under the loan. So if they have a $100,000 loan, yet they don't make enough money to make the full principal and interest payment, the lender allows them to have a negative amortization for a certain period of time, yet the amount that they were not able to pay gets added to the end of the loan. So the loan keeps getting larger. The loan increases, but their payments are lower. We don't want to really do that, but it sometimes allows an individual to own a home. Negative amortization. What is amortization? Okay, it is a list of payments spread out for the term of the loan. So if it's a 30-year loan, there are going to be 360 monthly payments. So that payment, that mortgage is spread out for 360 months. It's amortized, and that schedule, amortization schedule, includes the principal and interest amount paid every month and what is the balance. But that is negative. Federally regulated transaction. What is a federally regulated transaction? So real estate related financial transactions in which a federal financial institution or regulatory agency is involved. So it's not an individual personal transaction between buyer and seller, although they are a buyer and seller, okay, but this is federal, universal for the United States. So it's a business transaction, a federal financial institution, or a regulatory agency. Payment cap. Payment cap. We had an amortization cap. Now this is payment cap. Limit on the maximum amount of payment may change on an adjustable rate mortgage, which is called an ARM. Right? And ARMs are short term, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 years, maybe more. And they include interest and principal. Sometimes they could be interest only. And investors will use these in order to buy a property and remodel it and then flip it. And so they may only get an interest only loan and pay low interest. But in the norm, it is a principal and interest mortgage, and it has a limit, okay, of the amount a payment may change. So the lender can't decide, well, hey, term ended, I'm going to really increase the payment. No, there is a percentage rate that limits how much that payment can go up. So that is a cap. A loan to value ratio, LTV, not a low TV, okay, but loan to value TV, loan to value ratio. Expression for how much equity a borrower has in a property and how much risk a lender has on the loan. Calculated by dividing the loan amount by the property value. So someone is buying a $500,000 property, but it's valued at maybe 600,000, or it's valued at 600,000. The lender is going to loan 500,000, or they're going to loan 400,000. So you divide the 400,000 divided by the 600,000. So the loan is 400,000. The property value is 600,000. So then we get a rate. What is that percentage? So it is dividing the loan amount by the property value. Loan to value. Loan goes above, value goes on the bottom. Subagency. Substitute agent, right? It is a situation in which the agent has authorized another person or real estate agent to assist the agent in carrying out their duties. Okay, so there's a client and their realtor over here, right? And there's a listing realtor. However, this realtor here is going to bring a transaction with a buyer, and that buyer doesn't want to be represented. So they are a customer. This sub-agent has to provide the fiduciary duties to the original owner, okay, to the owner and that real estate agent or broker. So it's a situation where the agent has authorized another person or real estate agent to assist the agent in carrying out their duties. So it's an interesting definition compared to what we deal with in a contract, right? The sub-agency is, right, we have responsibility and duties to someone else. In the contract, it'll say a sub-agent, meaning that sub-agent, this could be a substitute agent here, but they have an agency relationship and assisting these other agents on their fiduciary duties. So this substitute agent, sub-agency, does not represent another customer. Okay. Biweekly mortgage. Biweekly, every other week, right? Mortgage. A mortgage that has payments due every other week instead of once per month results in the equivalent of 13 payments made each year. So some people can say you will end up reducing your mortgage payment, okay, or the balance owed on a mortgage by one whole month, okay, by paying it twice a week, because you're making 13 payments instead of one, right? Because we have 52 weeks versus just 12 months times 4 weeks. It's 48 weeks, right? So we have one more month of 4 weeks. That makes it 13 months. It's a quicker way to pay off a loan. Ad valorem. Ad valorem. Tax based on the value of property. So it is on property taxes. Tax based on the value of the property. And this is not on the value that we come up for a CMA or that appraiser comes up. This is by the assessor, the county assessor. They have their own algorithm that how they come up with an LVM, right? Automated value. Ad valorem. So it has to deal with property taxes. A limited partnership, just an LP. A legal business entity in which there is at least one general partner, one broad partner that has the responsibilities, and at least one limited partner. The general partner is responsible for the day-to-day operations, And the limited partner makes an investment in the business. So they could be a quiet partner, okay? They just invest money or have limited responsibility. So the general partner is the everyday to-day activity partner. That is a limited partnership, different from an LLC. This is a partnership of at least two individuals. Acceleration clause. Are you going to put the foot on the pedal? Okay, metal to the pedal. That's me. Acceleration clause, but somebody else also can do that. A mortgage past due provision that allows the lender to demand payment of the full amount due in the event of a borrower default. So in 50% of the states, it is called a mortgage, and they'll have how to deal with a borrower defaults. In the state of Texas and other states central to west, we use a deed of trust, and that has instructions on what happens when somebody is in default. The borrower, right? Of course, not just somebody, but the borrower is in default. What happens when we're past due? Oh man, we have to pay late fees, extra interest, and if we don't pay it fast enough, they could hire attorneys. Now we have attorney fees. So that is an acceleration clause that the lender can take quick action to get the payment. And they're going to start charging penalties and fees and interest. And if it's not paid, then they can start the procedure for foreclosure. They accelerate the loan. Okay, they want their money now. Statute of Limitations. And I say it that way because buyers wanted the money now to buy their house, right? Well, lender wants their money now. It's an equal right, right? We made a commitment. Statute of Limitation. So what kind of statute? It has limitations. So it's a law that limits the amount of time a person has to bring a legal claim. So it's a law, right? So when you see the word statute, it's not a work of art, okay? A statute, it has limitations. It's a law that limits individuals on how much time they have to complain on somebody else legally, bring an action, a judgment on someone else. Oh, misrepresentation. Misrepresentation. False or incorrect statement or representation of fact. Misrepresentation. There can be intended misrepresentation or, innocent type of honest error, but it's a false or incorrect statement or representation of fact. Different from puffing, right? Puffery. Misrepresentation. Tenancy by the entireties, one of the four major forms of ownership of real estate property. Tenancy by the entireties. Is that for married couples or not? Type it in the chat. Tenants by the entirety. Married couples or not? Type it in the chat. Yes, that's correct, Lisbeth. It is for married couples. Tenants by the entirety means it's a type of ownership by legally married spouses for property acquired during the marriage, not before the marriage, property acquired while they were married, and it has survivorship. This form of ownership, tenants by the entirety, they own the property entirely, equal and undivided interest and possession. And when one dies, their share goes to the spouse. Okay, different in Texas, it's community property. And again, it is husband and wife, but what happens after one dies could be different than in tenancy by the entirety. There's only 9 states that use community property. And please don't ask me to name them because I don't know which they are, but we can always Google it. Oh, I was just going to do 50. Wow, did we already do 50 vocabulary? This has gone pretty quickly. Yes, we did 50 vocabulary. Wow. So if anybody wants, I could end this session of vocabulary, okay, and start another session in a few minutes for questions and answers. So let me know in the chat. I have the time, right? A lot of times I do a 2-hour class. So if you would like me to do some questions and answers for those of you that might be taking your exam this week, I can do some of that. I just need to, have about 15 minutes or so or less to set up and do some Texas and national questions. So type in the chat and let me know. Cindy asked if we were going to do any questions. And I said no. However, we haven't even done an hour yet, and we covered 50 vocabulary. So type it in the chat. All right, so let's see, who's that? Hi, Cruz. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this session and I will start a different session, okay? So you'll have to refresh your screen and look for my the new streaming that'll happen in a few minutes. Okay, so this one will end and I will start a new one and we will do some national, probably just national because I didn't prepare for another book yet on the state. All right. Okay, y'all. So remember that I'm also a realtor. I'm with eXp Realty and I'm looking for realtors who pass their exams to also consider and evaluating eXp Realty and join me at eXp as your realtor sponsor, not your broker sponsor. And in order to find out what that means, hey, reach out to me. There's many benefits, many opportunities, many ways of making money with eXp Realty. So make an appointment to chat with me about our benefits and what mentorship we have, what education, training, and technology. We are a cloud-based company. And remember that if you haven't visited my YouTube channel, go to YouTube AgentPrep, okay? Tap that subscribe button, click that little bell so you're the first to get notified every time I go live or upload a new video, and tap the thumbs up and give me some love and support that you like this video. If not, hey, don't say anything, all right? I only like thumbs up. All right, talk to you in a little bit. Until next time, catch you later. Bye.